You know, Reed and I have worked together for more than 30 years, and we've done countless presentations, but we've never done a joint presentation like this. This is kind of an experiment, and if it goes badly, you might be able to witness the end of a great partnership. Let's see what happens.
Okay, so on with the demise. Let's see. Don, we have some clients coming in on Monday, and I was thinking we should prepare a table for them.
A table? A good idea.
And we should have a rose on the table.
Rose, nice touch.
And certainly columns.
4 columns? I see what you mean.
And I think we need a big head at the top of the table.
A big head, that would be good. Oh, I have one. How about plates?
Plates. I'm confused. How would I put a plate on the table?
I'm confused too.
Okay. So that's rather silly, wasn't it? But, we knew it would be. But how many meetings have you been in where you see that kind of communication going on? The thing we want to talk about today is that words in and of themselves don't make it. We want to talk about what it would take to go from this to shared understanding and communication. And that's what we want to talk about.
So do you see what I mean? People often answer yes, whether they really see what you mean or not. And that leads to all kinds of problems. But with a marker like this, you can avoid some of those problems. Not only does it let you draw what you're thinking, but it's a way at the same time to share your thoughts with other people. It makes it possible for them to literally see what you mean. Where I work, we use a lot of markers. We think that problem solving and visual models are inseparable. We've experimented with lots of different kinds of visual models over the years, and we've seen them work so many times that we're convinced they're important. So let's look at a couple of examples.
Here's a couple of pieces of some whiteboards that covered really a whole wall, but a couple of snippets of some drawings where we were trying to figure out a way to explain a company's worldwide information system and their infrastructure to their employees and to others. That's not important. What I want you to notice here is how crudely these are drawn. Often they're quickly drawn. Simple shapes, circles, squares, notes, arrows, so forth. And this was with a room full of people who could really draw. So the point we want to make is that the quality of the drawing isn't what's important. This resulted in, eventually, a model. And when we say a visual model, we mean something. A model is where you can take the whole essence of the thing in a single glance and understand it at a glance. Another thing that came out of the sketch was somebody said, oh, but we need to have it so individuals could explore the parts they're interested in. So we also developed a website and a piece of software where people could fly through and explore the parts of the model that they were interested in. So just in those simple sketches and sharing those ideas on the board quickly came out some really powerful ideas.
So to explain the complexities of the Medicare system to AARP members, we started with this. So pretty crude, like a napkin sketch. But it led to this show me guide for Medicare. And one of the great things about visual models is that they draw an audience in. By inviting the reader to build meaning out of the visual cues, you get them engaged in your story. And that's priceless. And I have to say, frankly, it's very hard for pure text to match that. Here's an example from a whiteboard. I was meeting with the Pentagon, some generals and consultants talking about their supply chain vision. And at the start of the meeting, everyone thought there was agreement on what the story was. But we often find building a model uncovers disagreements. So there's something wonderful about visual models that working on them together, you're forced to get very concrete about what's in and what's not. And that's wonderful for a team. This is the final result of that the consensus building session.
Does anybody want to make a guess about what this is?
What is that?
It's actually, if you look roughly, it's a map of the United States. And those little prickly things are, imagine those as piles of people. Imagine that as a population map of the United States. It makes the point again about drawings can be really crude. It eventually turned into this. And this was at Understanding USA book. It was a book that was introduced at the 2000 TED conference. And also in that sketching session and brainstorming session with these crude drawings, somebody said, wouldn't it be great if we could introduce not only the 3 dimensions, but a 4th dimension, the dimension of time. If you could look at data moving over time and see how that changes, it adds a whole other deep, visceral understanding of the data. And so we've built this. This is a real crude one we could get to run in PowerPoint here. But we built a nice smooth map, and you can load other data sets into this. So you could look at education achievement rates, or you could look at medical care costs. And it gives you a whole other understanding of the way to understand information, visual modeling. So writing backwards, that's the name of our talk. And what does that mean? Does anybody know what this is? Yeah, you all learned it really well. And that's the way we drill writing into our kids. That's the way we all learn, major topic 1 and so forth. And then you take your outline and you write about it. You usually wind up with a paper. You read your paper and you say, oh, that's a little boring. Maybe I ought to interject some graphs or tables or some pictures or some drawings to spice it up and make it a little bit more interesting or help the reader a little bit. Writing backwards is about reversing that process. It's about doing the visual modeling first with you, your students, your clients, getting understanding, getting consensus, working that out. Once you get it, then writing a narrative that interprets the model. That's what we mean by writing backwards.
We're not disparaging the classic outline style. It still has it's a great tool, has a purpose, but we are talking about building a model in front of that.
One thing we might want to disparage a little bit is this. You probably might not know what that is right away. The bullet point. The point here is that the tools that we use, whether it's a structured outline or PowerPoint, the tools that we use and the process we use influences heavily thinking and the way you solve and approach problems. Kids are naturals at writing backwards. All our kids proudly drew pictures and then told us stories and narratives about the picture.
So what happened between kindergarten and the office?
We've heard this a number of times this morning. Here's our standard curriculum. And in the early grades, they're all mushed together. When you're in kindergarten, you confronted them all at once. Somewhere along the line, these got squeezed out and put to the side. You didn't draw in history class. You didn't draw in writing class. Worse yet, they got put on a pedestal, and then they got surrounded by an aura of talent, which made it was a little standoffish for the kids in the mainstream curriculum.
So the good news is you can knock that pedestal down, that if you were ever a child, you already have the skills you need to build useful visual models, and we're going to prove it.
Is there anybody here who was never a child?
Show of hands.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
a couple on this side. Okay, in front of you, there's a big worksheet. We're going to take 60 seconds. You're going to build a visual model. Let me read you the story that you're going to illustrate, and then we'll start the timer. So get ready. Draw this. In the morning, Alice had 6 eggs in a box and 4 apples in a tray. At the same time, Bob had 3 eggs in a box and 2 books in a bag. That night, Alice had 2 apples on a tray and a book. Bob had a bunny in a box. Okay, 60 seconds. Let's get started. Ready? Here goes the timer will count down. Don't worry about beautiful art. Just capture the elements of this story in your drawing. Alice, Bob, apples, eggs, boxes, bags. You can draw those things.
Don't? Don't look at your neighbor. They can't draw either.
Yeah, yeah. Don't worry about making it pretty. That can always come later.
Okay, you should be about half done. I don't know whether you can tell in a drawing when you're half done. One of the things about drawing is you never know where the journey is going to take you.
Should be getting in the home stretch now. Moving up on that bunny, I think.
Am I in your way?
Okay, that's all the time we've got. So as your teacher would say, pencils down. Now this is the part where I have someone come down and present their work to the group. So look on the back. Does your drawing have a red star on the back in the corner? Anybody ever? Star? Who's got that? All right.
Okay.
Just kidding. There is no red star. No one has to present. But did you feel any anxiety when I said you might have to present? A little? That was the pedestal that Reed was talking about. By believing that only artists can draw, you're cutting yourself off from this. And it's good to get over that, out of your comfort zone.
We gave this to one of the kids in our office, and they were able to do it pretty easily, actually.
Yeah.
Basically, that's all we really wanted to communicate today, that basic, simple idea. But we want to leave you with just 4 thoughts. First, writing backwards has nothing to do with artistic talent. That's really important.
You've got the skills you need to do it.
Try bringing visual thinking into your daily work.
Grab the marker and go to the whiteboard in your next meeting.
And encourage others to do it.
Give them the marker.
Kids.
And finally, have fun with it. Drawing is fun. That's it. Thank you all.
Thank you.